Yo, what's going on, guys? KrispyFlakes here. So Kawhi Leonard is set to return against the Boston Celtics for the San Antonio Spurs on December 8th. So I want to talk a little bit about Kawhi Leonard, the Spurs, and kind of like what can we expect from this team going forward with a healthy Kawhi Leonard, who's been out probably a bit longer than most of us thought he actually would be. I mean, I personally thought he was gonna be back like within like the first week of the NBA season, but we all know that ankle injury by Zaza, it was definitely a freakish injury, so it kept him out a lot longer. But hopefully he is completely healthy now and can ball out for the rest of the season. So Spurs are 17-8 on the NBA season, which is pretty damn impressive, because for one, they are in the Western Conference, and two, their superstar MVP caliber player is out. Like, he's been out, but they've still managed to win some games out there. So looking at the player stats, guys, like who's actually been doing pretty good so far this season for the Spurs? We got LaMarcus Aldridge, who definitely is having his best season, I would say. You know, as a San Antonio Spur, averaged about 23 points, 8 rebounds out there, getting a few assists out there, over a block a game, and shooting 50% from the field goal and knocking down the three ball at about 39%. Although, you know, if you get that back to that 41%, he's going to help this team out even more going forward. You have Rudy Gay, who was kind of brought on this team to be a sixth man on this team. His scoring is definitely down from years past, but that's just because, for one, he is getting older. You know, he's really wasn't an athletic-based player. I mean, he still has the athleticism, can still throw it down and everything. Threw one down my Detroit Pistons a few nights ago, but, you know, like, the pressure of him being like a top-notch scorer like he was maybe on the Sacramento Kings or the Memphis Grizzlies just no longer really needed for him, which is fine, man. Like, if he can like assume his role and be a great six-man on this team, then he might actually contend for the six-man of the year award. I think he totally can do that. Pau Gasol, you know, he's 37. We kind of know what he is by this point in his career. A guy that's gonna, you know, pretty much a spot-up shooter when it comes to his offensive game. Might give you a nice, you know, decent post move here and there, but for the most part, man, definitely out of his prime. You got Danny Green out there, who's always been a good 3-and-D type of player. Actually, from the three-point shot this season, he is shooting about 37%, so that's decent. You know, that's definitely decent out there. Patty Mills, you got Kyle Anderson, who is on a, like, he's out for the next 3 weeks, but he'll come back, probably be a bench by Mount Ginobili, Tony Parker, DeJounte Murray. So that's, you know, what the team's looking like, guys. Pretty much, man, everybody's doing their part to get this team that, you know, 17-8 record. So I am going to simulate the rest of the season here with Kawhi Leonard on the team and talk a little bit more about the Spurs. This is a lineup that I'm looking like, you know, Tony Parker, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, and Pau Gasol. Now, I do think at times, man, I feel like this lineup could work out where you could have maybe Rudy Gay at the 4th spot and LaMarcus Aldridge at the 5, or even at times, guys, I believe Kawhi Leonard once upon a time, like in his early NBA days, not that he's old or anything, he played a lot of shooting guard too, I believe, for the Spurs, so he could actually shift up the shooting guard, and you can do Rudy Gay at the 3 spot. I feel like that would work out nicely at times. It depends if you want to go more small ball or more like defensive oriented, although Danny Green's a, you know, great defender himself. So I don't know, man, it's just, there's definitely some different lineups this team could work with here. You know, Kyle Anderson, you got Patty Mills, DeJounte Murray, Mount Ginobili, and there's a few things I do want to talk about from this team, though, guys. Like, for one, we all know that Kawhi Leonard is going to bring additional scoring. Actually, let me check out his stats real quick. I want to see Kawhi Leonard's, like, stats from last season. So, yeah, man, last year, 26 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. We all know what he does defensively out there, so damn, dude. Spurs are definitely in a good spot. But for them to really compete for an NBA championship, I do think that, for one, they need to get a more defensive-oriented center, not to be like a starter or anything like that, but kind of play like that Dwayne Dedmon role, who of course went to the Hawks, I believe it was, over the offseason, because like outside of Pau Gasol and LaMarcus Aldridge, this team does not really have like a center on their team, and those guys right there are not really known for their, you know, like defensive or rebounding abilities at this point in their career. Maybe once upon a time you can make that case for Pau Gasol, but definitely not anymore. So I would like to see them maybe make a trade there. And also the point guard position, guys. Yes, I know Tony Parker is loved by Spurs fans, probably a lot of NBA fans out there. But plain and simple, man, you know, especially in the Western Conference, to really contend out there, you need to have a great point guard. Okay, you simply cannot win a championship without a great point guard. And don't come at me saying, well, Miami Heat did with Mario Chalmers. Mario Chalmers was a shooter on that team. We all know LeBron James was the true point guard on that team. So I don't know, man, especially you look at the years past, you got your Stephen Curry's, you got your Kyrie Irving's out there. Of course, the OKC Thunder, if they can bounce back, they got Russell Westbrook, you got Damian Lillard, just so many great point guards out there. And Tony Parker really is not ranked like in the top 20 point guards, if you ask me. He's just injury prone now. And like I said, man, that's no hate against the man. Like, I respect so much what he did in his career, but at the same time, there comes the point where you kind of need to, like, you know, cut that cord or something like that and let the man go. Not let him go, but, you know, maybe give him like a bench roll or something like that, like they do with Mount Ginobili. He really excels at that, and just not really put so much pressure or expect so much production out of the point guard. I really don't know what kind of trade bait they have. Maybe a guy like Kyle Anderson could entice some teams out there, because you're not really going to trade for like a dominant point guard. Like, teams are not just going to give that up unless you really give up some pieces. And, you know, Pau Gasol's not really trade value anymore because he's probably going to retire in a few seasons. So, yeah, man, just, like, definitely maybe beef up the front court a little bit. You guys got a ton of small forwards on the team, it seems like. You got 3 point guards that all need minutes. Dejounte Murray, Tony Parker, Patty Mills, probably some other guys I'm probably not thinking about either. So, I don't know, man. This team definitely is going to be interesting, but I do think, for one, Greg Popovich is a mastermind. I do think they are going to run a lot of small ball at times. I think you're going to see a lot of LaMarcus Aldridge at the center position, and maybe not a ton of lineups with La and also Pau Gasol in the game together, just because they're limited in their depth on the bench when it comes to big guys. So with Rudy Gay out there, you really don't need to run those guys together at the same time all the time. But record-wise, you know, like, with Kawhi Leonard coming back, we still got the Golden State Warriors finish number 1, Rockets number 2. I think, you know, that could be flip-flop depending how the season goes. And the Spurs still getting that 3 spot. And then it's just kind of like the rest of the Western Conference. I mean, the Thunder made it back a bit here. Timberwolves, Nuggets, Jazz, and Trailblazers with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum out there. Good for them. But yeah, man, one more game against the Pelicans. Simulate through date. And getting a big W right there going into the postseason. LeBron James getting MVP. Ben Simmons, Rookie of the Year. Eric Gordon. Giannis. We got Chris Dunn and Steve Kerr for Coach of the Year. All-NBA first team. I don't know if, like, if you miss this many NBA games like Kawhi has, can you still, like, be eligible for making All-NBA teams? I really don't know how that all works. He's not on here in this game, which, I don't know, man, I feel like that kind of makes sense. I feel like you should have to play, like, the majority of an NBA season. Not that he's missed, like, too much time. And it's definitely been, like, obviously in the beginning of the NBA season. What about all defensive team? Yo, shout out to Chris Dunn for making that. Okay, good for him. All right, player stats on the season. Let's see how, the stats kind of played out here. We do have Kawhi Leonard putting about, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 4 or 5 assists game, over a steal a game, almost a block a game. So pretty much picking up right where he left off last NBA season. LaMarcus Aldridge scoring did go down a little bit. I think that's totally can be expected because he's going to go from being the first option to the second option. But still a really solid season. I love the 3 assists out there too. You got Rudy Gay, doing big things off the bench, getting the 6 rebounds, getting, 13 points. Pau Gasol is still kind of basic side numbers, but I do like the passing from him. He's always been a good passing big man. And he's bringing the defense at 1.5 blocks out there. And then you got Tony Parker, 10.6 assists. Like I said, man, that's, in my opinion, just something to think about Greg Popovich. Although you're not going to listen to me because I'm just, I'm just a YouTuber, and you are like an NBA legend coach. So I'm pretty sure you know what you're doing to some extent. No, he totally does, guys. He totally does. And you got so many, Patty Mills. Maybe start Patty Mills. I don't know, man. I don't know. Patty Mills, I think, could definitely start on an NBA team. Okay, here we go, though. We do have playoffs. So first round, we do have the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's going to be a nice matchup. Timberwolves do not play much defense. Karl Anthony Towns, not a great defense center at this point in his career. Still young, can still improve on it, but for the most part, the Spurs, big men out here, should not really be a big issue there. So simulate current rounds. And, all right, so it looks like they got him 4 games to 1. Yeah, I can see that happening. Kawhi Leonard, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. I would love to see him going against Andrew Wiggins or even a guy like Jimmy Buckets. I really don't know who he would guard in that case. Probably Jimmy Buckets. I say Jimmy's definitely the better player as of right now. But yeah, man, Karl Anthony Towns did choke. He did have 5 blocks out there, though, so he said, shut up about my defense, Crispy. All right, now we got the Houston Rockets. Now, this was an awesome series last season. We all remember the block. Manu Ginobili, James Harden. Sorry, Rocket fans, bringing up poor memories. I know how it feels. I know how it feels to have a big play by the freaking Spurs. Being a Pistons fan, Robert Horry. Oh my God. Here we go. Simulate current round. See how this goes. And all right, so the Spurs actually won in 7 games, man. Another close series, coming down to a 116-98 game. James Harden going off for 30 points, 15, 10, and 5 for Chris Paul. We got LaMarcus putting up a big 27 and 9, 20 and 13 for Pau Gasol, and 17, 11, and 7 for Kawhi Leonard, nearing a triple-double out there. But definitely the big guys in this case, LaMarcus Aldridge and Pau Gasol, really brought it. Because outside of like Clint Capella, Rockets don't really have much for big guys. Ryan Anderson's gonna like space. They also got Chris Bosh for some reason, so I guess maybe Chris Bosh comes back. Who knows? But here we go. San Antonio Spurs versus the Golden State Warriors. Kawhi Leonard, is he going to get his revenge on the Spurs? Zaza Pachulia after last season. We'll see. Simulate current round. And yeah, okay, so they got knocked out 4 games to 2. I don't know, man. A lot of people say that the Spurs could have beat the Golden State Warriors last season if Kawhi didn't go down. They were up big time, but at the same time, it was game 1 where it did happen. But like I said, man, they were up like 30 points. So, I don't know. I feel like it definitely would have been a different series for sure. But yeah, man, them Golden State Warriors, hard to get past. Simulate the rest of the playoffs. There's 2 wins at all. We got Golden State taking the title yet again, my friends. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to drop that like and subscribe if you're new to my channel. And peace out, my friends.